The importance of.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Night Live. Right now, you've got Crypto Kate and John Macco McGill, but joining us for the first time is our newest player ambassador. I don't know how long it's going to take for him to click back in because I kicked him out trying to minimize his video. So it'll be a second. Drum roll for yourselves because I'm not going to smack things near my microphone. Hooray! Welcome, everybody, our latest player ambassador, Paul. Paul, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Paul.
Good job. So, only because I can see it in the drop-down above, tonight's episode is about selecting teams for the National Cyber League Games. I did write a blog on this a little bit ago, so it might not be pinned to the top. We are currently trying to find it ourselves. Tonight we're going to answer a lot of questions. We're going to be mostly focused on the questions, so there's a really great ask a question button on the bottom. If you have questions for us and you post there, Paul's not allowed to post there because when he types, we all hear it so loud. But if you have a question and you hit the ask a question button, post it there. We are watching that, and we love when you upvote your friends' questions because it helps us to know what questions you want to know the answer to, just in case we don't get to them all. We are working to update the Checkout Kids vlog. Right now it goes to last week's session. Give us a minute. We'll get there. And do we have a good poll question for tonight? Paul, it's your first night. What's a good poll question? It has to be multiple choice.
Multiple choice. I suppose we've already done what's your favorite category.
I think.
What's your favorite text editor?
Okay, what are the options?
Vim and Emacs.
Emacs, really?
VIM and EMAX? What are we? I don't know this.
Here, I'll type them. I can actually
Nano.
have the question, I think.
Nano.
No, it's to the poll. I don't know if you can, but.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So how do you spell Emacs?
EMACS. Yep, you have to add Sublime.
Okay. Oh, I need to add more?
Yeah, there are more.
Okay, well, keep adding them in the comments and we'll add them to the poll.
Notepad++.
Somebody
Visual
is
Studio
Code. Other. There we go. So now we've got a poll. There is a poll. We'll probably come up with a better poll later because that's usually what happens on these shows. We don't necessarily plan ahead. Welcome to NCL Thursday Night Live. I'm your Chief Player Ambassador, and we definitely have a plan. Recently, I got the feedback that somebody thought that I was reading from a script, so I got some bubbles to burst. And with that, we are here to talk about how to select teams for the National Cyber League Games. I have two options, and then we'll throw it to John and Paul, and they can tell us what they do. For me, I think there's two ways to do it. You have to pick what priority is most important to you, in my opinion. And for me, one stands out, but a lot of people go for the other. So we'll start with the most common way that people select teams, and that's to win, right? It's a competition. People want to win. This isn't a bad priority. It's just not my priority. But if you are selecting teams to win, especially if you're at one school and you're trying to break down a large group of students, I say take your total number of students, divide by 5, and that is the number of captains you need to pick. So select those captains, and then I totally just messed up my two methodologies and combined them. If you're dividing for the goal of winning, you take your preseason scores and you do 5, 5, 5, 5 until you reach the bottom. You can have more than 5 people on a team, but I think 5 to 7 is sort of the sweet spot. So you put all your high-ranking players together, your moderate-ranking players together, and your newer students together. And then the benefits of this is that they are playing with people on the same skill level as them. The downside is usually they don't learn as much, and it does discourage the people who ended up in the lower teams, right? So the way I like to do it is based on learning. That's my priority. I want everybody to learn all the time. I mean, hey, that's why I'm here. So I take the total number, divide by 5. I select my top 5, however many that circles out to. We're going to use the number 35. Why? Because I have coached 35. So then we would pick 7 team captains. Our top 7 players become the team captains. Then I would divide the rest of my players among their teams, going, first captain, second captain, third captain, fourth captain, fifth captain. You can also do them in 3 chunks. So you have your gold players, silver players, and bronze players. And that doesn't matter what rank they ended up in the games. It's more of just like you have 3 tiers. How do we divide them? All of that is in my blog. We're going to find the link. It's just not loading. I don't know why, but we'll get there.
I looked around, didn't see it.
It's an oldie but a goodie. I know what tags to click around to find it. So while I'm clicking around in my blog, Paul, do you have any other ways that you select teams, or how do you group people together?
We always kept it to people within our school. We only had 1 team at a time, so it made it extra easy.
John, you actually had a very interesting situation last season. Why don't you talk about that?
So, I was in a community college, and we formed a group there, and I got really attached, and that was a great group. And unfortunately, I kind of graduated out of that and went on to work on my master's degree. And so now here I am, plopped down in a new college. I don't know anyone. I'm looking at all my links, and nobody's got anything out there. No public forums or anything. So I can't find anyone from my college. And so I actually approached Kate at the time. I was like, hey, is there such a thing as looking for group? Looking for just some way to kind of meet up, because I want to do the team challenge, but I can't compete with the group that I was as part of Tidewater still. And they wanted, just like you said, to keep it to students only that were, active in that college. So I decided that, I would approach Kate with it, and she actually created the channel for, the looking for group. And no, you didn't create that. Who created that?
Yeah. So the OG way was y'all messaged me, and then I just scattershot people into teams.
That's right.
It was really ineffective. And
so
then I
everyone went to Kate,
Toby, and I was like, there's like 70 people. Can we make a channel? Because I can't do this by myself. That's also why we have an ambassador board now, because I can't do it myself.
That's right. Everyone went to Kate for everything, and it was a little chaotic there, because we only have about a week to put those teams together. Until you need to start practicing and figuring out strategies and that kind of thing. So it was. So the criteria I was looking for was, I wanted to win. And so I was specifically looking
necessarily to win.
I was specifically looking for in my last season. I was looking for a gold, tier and top 100 players, and we put together a team, and we got 10th place, and it was a really great, working with people that you've never worked before with, but like you said before, working with people on your skill level, so that you actually kind of can learn to trade back and forth and not have to constantly be in either a teaching or a learning role. It actually is very comfortable to compete that way. I liked that way almost better than the first season I did it that way with Kate, where she specifically ranked us up, where she said, okay, I want someone from gold tier, I want someone from silver, and I want someone from bronze on your team, And
I gave you a well-balanced team that met my goals.
And that was a great, team also. And, certainly it had more, like you said, a focus on learning and an emphasis on, helping each other. And, but when we got into that all gold top 100, kind of thing, we wanted to win. And it was very, we kind of meshed on a different level. It was, being able to talk to someone at your level and be able to, prioritize tasks. And, we had a very, very, very high accuracy, because each one of us were able to work through every single one of the problems. So we had approached every single one of them, and then someone else would go back and they would check. And if we got the same answer, we had submitted. So we had a very high accuracy in the upper 90s, because we had the skill on our team to be able to do every challenge twice.
The good news is next week we're talking about teamwork strategies. So how can you work with your teams regardless of your, proximity to each other, whether you're in the same room, which I have recommendations for that, and half of them include Moana. You can ask Gina. We've watched Moana. We actually were working on it in our office together. We were the only two in the office. Everybody else went out for lunch. So we were playing the Moana soundtrack while we were playing in the individual games this season, and we were shouting at each other over the screens, going, "I'm ahead of you. No, I'm ahead of you. No, I'm ahead of you." It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we were able to. I'm sorry. We were able to do one of our team competitions at the college, and be able to all be in the same room. And man, there's just such a different dynamic to being able to talk to people and not have to use like an external medium such as I think we used Discord and Google Docs last year. But being able to actually just face to face talk to people. I think that it gives you a lot of advantages. Being able to talk through a problem, for example, or being able to rapidly respond to someone. There was one point where I felt like I was just shouting into the darkness because no one else was logged on, and I'm asking questions and no one's answering them. And so being in the same room, I definitely think has its advantages.
So Paul, you're one of the top players in the league easily. Like you're always in like the top. Have you ever not been in the top 10?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Except when I wasn't really participating, like this season.
So yeah, what has sort of been your teamwork strategy since you're, wheels ahead of everybody else? What has been your strategy?
Keep in mind that if any player on the team submits a wrong answer, that dings your accuracy. So you do have to coordinate ahead of time to ensure that people aren't entering answers unless they're absolutely certain. So usually that means multiple people solving the same challenge twice, or at least solving it in the same room and recording your answers and then entering them later after they've been verified. That's a little more difficult if people are remote. I went to a community college as well, so oftentimes people had work. We weren't all participating at the same time. We had to find a way to coordinate, and oftentimes that meant meeting one day toward the end of the competition where we would just collaborate and check all of our answers. I see a face.
I dropped something off my desk and I don't know what it was, and I'm just hoping it wasn't a liquid.
All right, so it's been very one-sided so far.
I know.
Let's get some player interaction here. So I see that
it's scripted.
Yeah, I see that you did find that link to the blog. Let's throw a poll out there and see who read the blog prior to coming here and watching the crowdcast. Nobody.
It was over a year ago.
Everybody already comes into these shows and they'll read my blogs in advance and they ask me stuff and I already wrote it. I feel like my mic is really close to my keyboard.
Oh, yep. It looks like Gina's here. So she's waiting in the wings out there.
Okay.
What questions do you have for us? We've got.
I know. We're here to answer questions.
Yeah,
we're not here to talk.
This is coaching, right?
We don't like to shout into the void. I will say that the question that inspired this blog came from a coach. He emailed me. I have about 45-ish students registered and was wondering if you had any recommendations for grouping them for the postseason, which is the team game's old name. I was hoping to know what brackets they were in so I could put similar skill sets together. And yeah, I say that there's two priorities, winning and growth. And you just got to pick what's more important to you.
Now, I will say that you can't rely completely on brackets either because, there is another way that you can put together a team, which is, to fill, skills, right? So just because you may not be really good at reverse engineering and web exploitation doesn't mean you are not the best crypto and, Stego person out there, right? So you can definitely build your team based on skill set and say, okay, well, let's look at this, and who got the highest score in scanning and exploitation? Who got the highest a score in enumeration? Who's our reverse engineer, right? And put your team together based on a skills-based approach. I think that would be a really great way to do it. We've never done that, but on paper, it sure sounds like it might work.
I mean, we could also, so in the comments right now, there's a bit of a debacle where Liam, whose handle is Ghost in the Machine, says that he has not trolled yet. So we'll just make that a poll. Is Liam a troll?
Okay, how are we doing on our polls here? We got
polls going, but we don't have any questions. Does everybody already have their teams selected? Now there's a poll just for Ghost.
You'll see that as we get closer to the back end of this competition, you know, that these crowdcasts are going to get a little bit more player-centric and a little bit less, because we're not trying to teach you everything right before the games now. You know, this is your time
Your
to talk
brains
to
would
us.
explode.
Yeah, this is your time to talk to us. You know, vent about some of the challenges, or talk about, some of the things that you saw in the games that you weren't prepared for. I mean, really, this is the interactive part. This is this is for you this time, not for us to get up here and just talk about a particular subject. So
I keep clicking links and like my screen explodes, which is fun. I'm actually trying to promote a comment to a question. Okay, got it. So Enemy Gate Down says, we've been trying to decide if we will go for a 2 team members must verify a flag before submitting model, but it seems annoying to coordinate it online. I will say that I have never under any circumstances not used that model, and I have a couple of really awesome ways to do it that we will be talking about next week. Why won't I spoil it? Because you got to show up next week. We are trying to keep these pretty contained to the topics, but if you have questions about sort of selecting teams or general questions about how it's going to work or things like that, that's what we're here for. Otherwise, if you guys don't have questions, it might be a short show.
So what is a Slack thread method? I see here Enemy Gate Down is saying we've seen the Slack thread method gets muddy. Not really sure what you mean by that, if you could
So
elaborate.
The way that we did in, have you seen the post, the methodologies, where we talk about the challenges in Slack
Oh, right.
on Cyber Skyline?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
What's that chat? Paul, what's that chat called?
Methods, no answers, or something like that.
No answer, only methodologies and techniques.
There you go.
Long
Okay.
name.
Yeah, it gets posted in general and NCL Fall a lot, and it's always posted in Ask Kate, so you can find us there.
Yes.
I think that's the methodology that they're talking about, where you create a thread of the challenge and then post all the answers below. I can see where that gets muddy. I do have a more organized way, but that's such a good idea. Will I tell you my way before next week? Not even once.
Keep in mind that as you're creating your team, you should determine how you can best coordinate. So if you choose people who all have the same availability, that will make your coordination a lot easier.
That's such a good idea I never thought of.
Yes. So if people often have jobs or classes at different times, especially at a community college, if you team people up based on their availability, that certainly makes things easier. The hardest times we had were when we had people on the team who had classes at different times and jobs at different times, and we could never find the time to all get together, even if it was remotely.
So Christoph asks that what's a great way to learn Wireshark better? Sorry, John, the second section of Wireshark kicked my tail. Now,
Yeah.
John, did you write the Wireshark or did?
Yeah, that was mine. Yeah.
Okay. So there is a blog on that subject, and maybe we will be writing another one again next season for more stuff. We are producing content as fast as our little fingers can type. So right now, the best resources that we have personally is, of course, on the blog. We try to point to other resources when we can within the blogs. John, do you have any extra resources you want to add?
For Wireshark specifically, I've got I don't have anything prepared, but I definitely have a list of, on my other computer with like bookmarks of, courses that have worked for me before. I would say watch some of the stuff from Shark Week. They have a Wireshark conference every year, and it's a week long, and they call it Shark Week. And, they record a lot. Excuse me. They record a lot of material they record a lot of material for that week. And it's all in video that they post up on their blog, and so go through those Wireshark. Obviously, there's Wireshark tutorials, which are from Wireshark directly, and then I've seen some really good posts come out through various YouTubers that specifically dealt with Wireshark for CTFs. I would say just overall, the more you use the tool, the more comfortable you get with it, the easier it'll be. Like using color coding. If you learn how to do color coding, or one of the ways I solved one of the challenges was I just started going through and eliminating known good traffic. So all I was left with was a bunch of stuff that I knew was not already checked off as being good traffic. So kind of approaching it from a subtractive type methodology instead of hunting for that needle in the haystack. And certainly there's a lot of search tools. In my blog, I talked a lot about don't use the default layout that Wireshark comes with. You can add columns and take columns away, and if the column doesn't do any good for you, take it out. It's just a waste of screen space. And then you can expand out some of those fields like info, so you can see larger parts of the packet reflected there. It just gives you a better idea. Don't forget there's a lot of embedded functionality also in Wireshark, as far as like being able to follow streams, being able to go and retrieve artifacts, being able to you've really got to dig into that tool because it's got so much functionality that I think that's where a lot of people get lost.
Excuse you.
Ghost Machine also points out that a malware traffic analysis net is good too. I really like that one. If you ever get a challenge where you are trying to reconstruct a malware type thing, a malware event, because they have actual malware events on that log, and they can show you, like for example, this type of virus, this is what it looks like in the packet captures. So that's really effective to be able to do that. I remember there was a smart home challenge a couple of years ago that kind of kicked a lot of people's butts, and
I think I have PTSD from that challenge.
And it's very helpful in that case to just bring out like a pad of paper and start sketching out the network and writing out the IPs. Don't get trapped in the digital world, right? You've got resources in the physical world as well, and sometimes being able to just draw out that network, draw out that diagram, show packets going back and forth, notating. There's no substitute for pen and paper. Sometimes you just gotta be able to break that out. Let's see, there's a lot of packet captures you can download for practice. And it's not Discovery Shark Week. I want to make sure that Gina, it's not on the Discovery Channel. It's just called Shark Week. It's from wireshark.org, and it's a conference basically.
Paul, top resource, go.
Top resource for
Wireshark.
Wireshark specifically.
How to learn it.
That's a hard one because I'm personally not really satisfied with a lot of the documentation on Wireshark. And
sounds like you should write our next one.
Oftentimes when you Google it, you end up on Wireshark's documentation or their forum, and there's rarely a clear answer for whatever you're looking for. So my biggest advice would be that if you have some background in networking, for example, you've taken a CCNT class for Cisco certification, just as an example, and you have a little bit of understanding of networking, it becomes a little clearer what's going on in Wireshark. But if you don't really have much experience, then you probably want to get a background in networking first, or at least read a book or something thorough, rather than jumping straight into Wireshark.
All right. Dr. Karen Benson asks, I am the team leader. How do I see what students are in my group? And I snipped my screen because I did not want to give out my team code. Because everyone will join it because we have a lot of trolls. Oh no, that was not what I wanted to do. I did not want to be big. Sorry. Okay. So as you can see, It's just good old-fashioned snipping tool. If you go to Cyber Skyline and go into the team game, even though it is not open yet, you should be able to see team info. If you're a coach and you're referring to the players who enrolled under you, give me 1 second, and then I'll share my screen again once my team info is off. That's not the screen I wanted to share. You almost saw our faces again. So if you're a coach, you can go over here, and I'm not going to click on this drop-down box for confidentiality reasons. I have been enrolled in many teams just so that I can see people's scores and help them over time. But if you click on this, you should be able to see based on brackets. You should be able to see based on like the teams that you are registered to. Students can be on multiple teams on the scoreboard, but they cannot be on multiple teams that compete together. So that list that you saw, my little snippet, you cannot be on more than one team like this. That being said, when I was coaching, a lot of students would join my team that I wasn't coaching because they wanted to see how they ranked against players that I did coach. So there's two teams. There's, teams that you can see the leaderboard, like here, okay, this drop-down box. And there's teams that you compete within. And usually the team that I'm talking about on this screen is within your school. And then the team that you compete with is your, 1 to 7 players. Let's see, do we have any? I'm going to just make this go away because I don't want you guys to see. I'm so scared of giving out my team code. I know that people will join it just to drive me crazy.
Toby's trying to say something.
Toby? Is Toby in Slack right now and I just can't see him?
He is.
Oh, am I in trouble? I used the
I
wrong
don't
words,
think so.
didn't I don't have Slack open. I'm the only one out of the loop.
He says group, the school one, group.
Oh, okay. So it's not called teams anymore. You can see the different groups, which are teams are the people you compete with, and groups are all of the people who can see your score. How's that? I probably got in trouble for that answer. It's okay. We are I think Cyber Skyline is trying to release some content around that to make those divisions more clear. The terms have been sort of, interchangeable throughout the years. So I think they are trying that. I think that's why I get yelled at.
It's changed over time.
Toby, if you want to complain, you should come on and explain it. I will always invite you to join us on screen.
I'll second that.
Yeah, he won't do it. I've tried for a long time. And now he's in the comments. I'm going to click that link, but what did I say? Now I can't see you guys. Oh, good. Look, it's all of these new terms and things. Great. That's such a good page. That's new. I didn't know about that. So yeah, Toby posted a really great link that you guys should check out. It has all the info on a lot of the vocabulary. I mean, if there's no more questions, we could make this a short show. Questions, comments, concerns? Just gonna watch me dance?
You want to talk a little bit more about player ambassadors, and are we going to close that down here pretty quick? Or
yeah, we are getting close. As you can see, we've brought on Paul, so we're starting to flesh out our team. I know that John, Gina, and WebWitch should be reaching out to people that they have selected for the first round of sort of like interviews. It's not like an official interview, but we do want to get to know you. We do want to know that you know your stuff. We do want to know that you're, going to represent us well. So, yes, that's happening, and we are going to select all of next season's player ambassadors by the end of the team games. So, if you're interested in being a player ambassador next season, you can go to my blog and click on NCL Player Ambassadors on the navigation bar.
We do have a really good question that Josh just asked. As far as okay, so I've got people that are in gold, silver, bronze, maybe even pewter. What rank does my team compete at? And I know that that's changed, so I'll field that over to you.
Cool. I don't know where that. Oh, Josh is the last question. Okay.
Yes.
Hold on. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can't mark these questions fast enough.
Does it just go down to the lowest level, or?
It does weird things on the back end. And what you guys don't realize is we also have to like tag the start and stop of every question because our marketing team wants that. So it's work. So let's just go down the thingy in the order that I can like survive it and click all the buttons. So John asks, will you make a blog about web app exploitation? My team is weak in that subject. Do you have any suggestions to help us on that? Paul, were you and I talking about this?
Which one was it? I think I was reading a different question.
Probably.
About
Will you make a blog about web app exploitation?
Yes, I think we were discussing that, although I think I was doing a different one first.
Okay. I also think that WebWitch might be doing that one. I could be
Okay.
confused. The schedule is not final for next season. That's why we don't know. But yeah, when you guys tell us what you're interested in learning more about, it helps us to know what content to write. That sounds like a really good poll question. So I'm going to work on that in a second. There are so many questions. Okay, I'm going to answer this one really quick. Steve asks, any discount codes for the NCL swag shop? $15.70 for shipping one hoodie is just crazy. So it's sort of a new thing, and we're still like working through it and stuff. And the more people that order more stuff each season helps us to figure out how to get costs down and how to make it more efficient, how to make it so you guys can get cool stuff. Wait, is the swag shop open? I haven't even looked. Nobody tells me things.
Yes, it's open.
I have to go shopping. One of the perks of being me is sometimes I can convince them to give me stuff. But yeah, it is a little bit crazy. It's because the hoodies are so big. They have to go in a bigger box, and it costs more to ship it. So I promise that they're probably only charging you exactly what it costs them to ship it. They're not like trying to make money off the shipping. Like, I know that for a fact. That just doesn't make sense and doesn't seem like something they would do. I think I finally got to Josh's question. Josh asks, what level will our team compete at if one of our members can't make the individual game? That is a good question for Franz and Toby, and at least one of them is watching. So
I asked Toby.
Oh, good. Yay, Paul. Go,
and
Paul.
There's a link that he sent that I just put in the chat. You will be ranked based on the highest ranking player. So you will not land in pewter. But I would assume, I'm hoping he's watching this so he can correct me if I'm wrong. I would assume that you are not supposed to be in a team with someone who is in pewter because they are not qualified to be ranked. That would be a professor, coach, someone like that who isn't actually a player.
Players get put in pewter as well when they don't compete in preseason.
Right.
And so I know that pewter players are not eligible for a scouting report. So that is a really good question, and hopefully Toby will yell at me and correct me right now.
So I would say you are probably only supposed to be on a team. Right. Yeah. So coaches cannot be on teams.
Yeah, for sure. It has to be all students. Only students are eligible to win. If you do have a coach on your team, like you'll get pulled from the leaderboard, just like the player ambassadors did from the individual games. Speaking of the individual games and the player ambassadors, I ended up in 59th place. So I'm going to send out something like 60 or 65 stickers. Maybe I'll send out a few extras with almost scribbled on it just to tease a few people. So yeah, I got lots of signed stickers to send out. And if you beat the player ambassador team in the team game, you will receive not only a sticker if you weren't already getting one for individual, but you will receive a certificate. It'll be a digital certificate that you can print, and we will be sending out to your coaches. So if you can manage to beat us, we're going to send you out a really cool certificate award type thing. So excited about that. Corrector. Try to keep up with these comments. You guys are fast. About ambassadors not playing. Well, the ambassadors always play. That's what we do. We can't ambassador for you if we don't know what's in the game. The main reason we play the games is to keep up with the current content and make sure that what we're writing aligns with the current skills needed for the games. If Franz and Toby throw some real big curveballs, we're going to adapt to that and write better content the following season. So that's why we play in the games, but then we get pulled from the leaderboard. I think during the individual games, we're ranked in gold because we want to push those top gold players to do just a little bit better. The player ambassadors, well, they play. Yeah, it was an interesting season, to say the least. John over here, who's normally kicks my butt, wasn't around, scaring me to death that I was going to have to sign 100 stickers or some crazy thing. And then I think Webwitch was moving. So I was the only one playing for a hot minute and I was scared. You said something about the ambassador for the team not being able to play and the groups being disqualified because of it. Yeah, if you have a coach on your team's most likely going to be disqualified. Coaches cannot be on teams, and the player ambassadors can't be on your teams. We're on a team. You got to beat us. If you beat us, we're giving out certificates. Oh, yeah, Gina was playing. Gina and I signed in as soon as it started, and we raced to finish the Crypto Gate Challenge.
I will say that my accuracy was worse than any other season I've ever played in.
Yeah, it was an interesting season. So there's that.
It was pretty brutal for me.
Yeah, I don't see Toby correcting me, so I'm assuming you can't have pewter players on your team. Let's see. Coaches, according to Toby, who has commented, coaches will not be able to get onto a student team on the Cyber Skyline platform, so you have nothing to worry about there. See, they take care of us. They're good guys. This is why we love them, and they're here to correct me.
So to summarize, coaches cannot be on teams, and your rank in the team game will be based on the highest ranking individual score.
And here we go. Pewter players can, as long as they're students, play and be part of the team game. So,
wow.
So if a pewter player is on your team, that they could actually factor into your ranking for the team game if they happen to do well in the individual game. If someone on your team didn't participate in the individual game, their score will not be taken into account for your team game bracket.
Yeah. Y'all better be lucky I don't set the rules. If y'all miss preseason,
it's hard especially with community colleges where people have jobs and the competition is only a few days. It used to be worse when it was only
in the getting started challenge. There are yes or no questions. You could literally get it wrong, then get it right, and get some points.
You could.
How many attempts do you get on a yes or no question?
Well, it's per challenge, so of course the challenge. I think you get. Well, what's crazy is there will be questions where there's an A or B answer, like NCL or Cyber Skyline, and people will be like, "Submit a ticket." Okay. Toby says you get 5 for a yes or no question. Okay. So I know you get 5 wisely, if it's A or B. I guess while I can make a poll really quick. One of the things I'm very interested in is who liked the Crypto Gate Challenge. I spelled my own name wrong.
Oh, in team games you get 10 per question.
They're so generous.
Well, there's always that one person who ends up on your team.
I mean, if you want to wreck your accuracy, they let you do so. I mean, that's very nice of them, right?
It's easy to do in the team game.
It is.
I added a poll because I asked in the games that Franz and Toby include please rate this challenge, and we're taking those ratings and comments very seriously. I got a lot of feedback. Honestly, somebody took the time to look me up on LinkedIn to tell me what they thought of the Twitter challenge. I thought that was very interesting, especially because it was negative feedback. And I was like, that's a lot of work for negative feedback. You were already on my Twitter.
And someone didn't do their open source intelligence, so they'd know that you can use Twitter without having a Twitter account.
Yeah, and we try new things in the games all the time. Franz actually suggested that I hide a flag or two in my Twitter while I was gone, and I was like, I'll hide 13.
Does that mean there are some that weren't in the actual game?
Maybe.
I mean, I hid one in Crowdcast. While I was at Epcot, I hid one in Crowdcast.
It's true. I was there.
I interrupted your show to be like, "Hi guys, I'm in the happiest place on earth, and I'm still thinking of you."
Someone mentioned a tool that they used for that, and it wasn't the tool that I used. So apparently there is some automation that you can do for that challenge.
I wish I had known about it because I had to go back and look for a flag by hand.
You had to look for one of your own flags?
So there's one where I stood in front of some Star Wars language without giving away the flag of what language was it written in. I was standing in front of the Star Wars language and pointing to it. And I realized I forgot to translate it myself. So Franz and Toby translated it to get an answer for the game. And I did not know what it said. And I had to, on the spot, I know a couple of letters, so I had a good idea of what it said. But I did have to, look it up, which was fun. Christoph says it was on my blog. So, yes, it was. I'm a big Star Wars fan. So when I was talking about symbolic substitution ciphers on my blog, I started with the unknown Pokemon and was like, if you're too old to know about Pokemon, which if you're in college, I feel like you should be old enough to know, but okay. We can go all the way back to the 80s, I think, is when the Star Wars movies came out. And that language that I won't name is a great example of a symbolic substitution cipher. It's actually very common in nerd culture. It kind of took on, even the person who invented that language says it took on a life of its own, much like the Boba Fett character. So there's that. And then, if you're too old to be interested in Star Wars or Pokemon, we can go back to the 3 digits probably. I don't know if that's accurate. The Freemason actually used a symbolic substitution cipher known as Pigpen, and it's supposed to look like little pigs and little pens. So,
I mean, if you really, really want to go back, there's Mythonic code, there's prison code, there's all kinds of old stuff, right? I mean, we can dig out.
There's hieroglyphics,
Well, technically, yeah.
So, it's a fun little thing. So I included that. Some people were a little salty over the what drink did I have to celebrate from piloting the Millennium Falcon, and the answer was oh crap, I can't remember. Well, I said blue and green milk in the text, but people who were using text scrapers weren't seeing the images, and in the image I'm clearly with engagement ring and all holding up a particular color cup. And then I got really mad because I got it wrong.
I got it wrong too.
I was like, Mother Trucker, I wrote this question. And then I pulled up the image and I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. So yeah, it was a fun challenge to make. We had fun trying it out because we are thinking about incorporating it in other ways. We are doing some NCL partnerships with conferences, and I think if I were live tweeting at conferences, it would be a lot of fun to have players, constantly worried when I'm going to post the next flag. We'll see how that goes. So I think it's just a fun way for us to engage with you guys more. That's why we do these live shows. I wasn't trying to be vain, though I appreciate breaking 1K followers. Yay, thank you guys. I think I have more Twitter followers than the Crowdcast now, but marginally. And that was my goal, to catch up to our Crowdcast. We do have more than 1,100 people who follow this series, so I'm grateful to all of you. Your feedback is always welcome and appreciated. We always try to make things the best that we can. So if there's content that you want to see, if there's feedback that you have, Gina has a podcast. It's called Off the Rails. Am I right? Can Gina, you want to drop a link in there? I have been on the podcast. She interviewed me at Weese's. It was really cool. It was my first podcast, so I was super nervous. Probably talked too fast and rambled, but.
And then we have a new player ambassador. Does he have a Twitter handle or anywhere that people can follow him?
Not at the moment. I will make one for NCL.
Okay, so we'll work on that.
You could follow the Gina methodology and do NCL Paul.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can also host a Twitter naming contest. I've offered for people who help Gina find a hacker handle, I can offer it for you, and for anybody who helps us pick our team name, whoever wins that competition.
Well, there was a good team name that came out this week. I liked it a lot.
Really? If I haven't hearted it, I haven't seen it. So, I know there's been some fun suggestions. What we're going to do is probably next week during the show, we will post a poll in here, and you guys will help us pick our name from our favorites. For everybody who helps Gina get a hacker handle, for whoever gets their team name suggestion for us selected, and Paul, do you want a hacker handle from the fam?
Sure. Let's see what happens.
So you can tag CryptoKate and the National Cyber League with your suggestions for Paul's hacker handle. If it's selected, I will cover your registration code for next season. So that's 3 registration codes that I'm offering out. One for our team name, one for Gina's name, and one for Paul's name. So tag me, tag the National Cyber League, and we'll get some game codes going out. For the team names, we are going to select probably from what you guys post out. I've seen enough that I like that we'll pick some that we like and post a poll. So next week, if you join us, you'll get to help us decide, one, who wins our free game code. Yes, I constantly want to give out game codes. I want every student in the entire world to play. Let's be honest. Honestly, if NCL would just give me game codes, like, I'd just give them to everybody. It would be a problem. I am the NCL Oprah. Maybe that should be my new handle.
You have to submit that as a suggestion, and if it's chosen, you, Toby, will get a game code.
Toby, I will buy you a game code. I do like NCL Oprah, though, because, I don't know, that'd be fun. Okay. So that being said, help us pick our names. Help us by joining us next week to help us select our final team name. You will see it on the leaderboard. You're going to have to beat it. So make sure it's something that makes you want to gun for beating us out. Paul, are you joining our team for the
Probably, yes.
Yeah. So you guys not only have to beat me and John and Gina and WebWitch, but we've got Paul, who's our secret weapon. We may tie him down a little so that more players have the chance. We might lock him down to a category or 2. So, we are looking forward to We are looking forward to next week, guys. 1, next week we're picking our team name. And 2, we're going to tell you different ways that you can work with your teams. I hope that Chief Coaching Ambassador Stephen Miller will be joining us. I have to contact him. I don't know if I have asked. It's been in my head. I don't know if I've asked. So that'll be great because we'll get a perspective from a coach. He does teach a lot of online students, so they figure out a way to coordinate. So I think his insight would be really great. He was on the show last week, so if you scroll back, he did talk a little bit about it, just a little bit. And with that, I will give you guys like 90 seconds to post any last questions for us.
I think there's one in queue. There's still one in queue.
I answered them on the queue, but I don't know if we need to answer it on the show.
Oh, about question format.
Yeah. That kind of thing. You can give us feedback in the comments, but it's probably easier to email us. So you can email info@nationalcyberleague.org. You can submit a ticket to Franz and Toby through Skyline. There's always a Slack. We have the Ask Kate channel, which you can get up with any of the player ambassadors there. I was like, we have an ambassador channels, but that's a closed chat so that we can vent. So there isn't one yet, but we should make one. All right. I'm not seeing any questions. Going once. Going twice. Sold. Okay,
Right.
so the polls this week were pretty weird, but have fun answering them. Toby posted the link to Slack because he's great. Toby, you should just join the show. It would be easier. Okay? I will even make a poll about it. How many people think Toby should join the show? Should Toby join Crowdcast with us? Yes.
Is there only going to be one option? Mm-hmm.
I love these answers. You guys are great. It's not like I rigged the question at all. But yeah, and we are going to be sending out some information. So if you see an email come out from ambassadors@nationalcyberleague.org, it is legit. It's not an inbox. We don't actually read the emails from there. But if we email you, we will obviously read your reply. So if you see an email come out from us, it's because we are either contacting you about possibly appearing on our Crowdcast show because you're a fantastic player and we'd like to share you with the world. We might be contacting you about writing blog content in an area that you excel in. My blog is open to submissions now, so if you want to write a recap that follows all the rules that we follow, we're willing to post your content. If you want to write a coaching guide, follows the rules, we're willing to accept that content. If you are attending events in the area, or not in the area, in the industry, and you want to write about that, basically our job is to support players. And the way that I like to support players is to help them get jobs. And one of the things that can help players get jobs is writing content and putting it out there for the world to see and being published. So that's really important to me, and if we can help you guys out, we will. So, hi.
Okay.
There's one more question. I'm going to call it a last question, and then we're going to head out for the night. Chappie asked, "These chat log has a lot of info. Is there anywhere it can be found later?" Yes. All of the sessions are on your top left of the screen. Just look at 2019 fall live coaching, and under it says schedule. This is session 12 of 14. If you click on that, it's a drop-down box, and you can see all the other shows.
We have 2 left. Two left.
Really?
Oh,
We're
I'm
almost
excited.
there.
I'm excited. 2 left.
Does that mean there's only 2 weeks till Thanksgiving? Because we stopped because of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
If anybody forgot the holidays were coming, here's your reminder. And with that, we're going to sign off for the night. Any last-minute tips on selecting your teams, Paul?
Focus on having fun.
Yes! See, this is why we picked him. John, any last-minute advice on selecting teams?
Find people that you can get along with under extreme amounts of pressure.
So Gina's the only person I should work with in team. And with that, we will see you guys next week. As always, thanks for joining us, and happy hacking.
Thanks.
I lost the end broadcast button. Hold on.
This happens all the time.
No, it's literally not on my screen. I know where it is. It's supposed to be over here. I'm just going to resize the window. Oh, that works. Okay. One more time. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.